Alright everyone, get ready to freak out, because after 297 videos filled exclusively with stock footage, useless motion graphics, and the dulcet tones of my silky smooth voice, we're about to show a video clip with sound of something relevant to the topic. I know, it's insane. Why are we finally willing to cough up the money for license rights? Well, don't worry, we're not. It just so happens that today we're talking about old movies, some of which are in the public domain because their publishers didn't bother to renew their copyright, which means I can show you this clip from the 1941 film Penny Serenade for the low price of $0.00. Here we go.
When you get to this place, don't get enthusiastic right off the bat. You know, don't just rush in and grab the first kid you see and go nuts about it.
What makes you think I'll grab the first one they show me? I've been doing the shopping in this family for some time now.
Did you notice anything strange about that clip? I mean, other than Cary Grant being weirdly mean to his wife about adopting a child, I'm talking about their accents. You may not have even clocked them as odd because nearly all actors in old movies talk like that. But have you ever asked why? Why do Americans in Golden Age movies all seem to talk in the same weird, vaguely British accent? And why do you never hear anyone talk like that now? What you're hearing is the transatlantic or mid-Atlantic accent, called such because it theoretically sounds like the way someone would talk if they were born on an island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean between America and England. You know, the kind of island I would make a podcast about. But what's so strange about the transatlantic accent is that it's, well, sort of not real. It's fake, synthetic, artificial, contrived, false, phony. Click here for free trial at thesource.com. Should have stopped reading. The mid-Atlantic accent has only ever been spoken by people who were painstakingly taught it. In fact, early advocates bragged that, quote, its chief quality was that no Americans actually spoke it unless trained to do so. And like X-Men Origins Wolverine, this confusing cinematic nightmare can all be traced back to an Australian and a Canadian. The Australian was William Tilley, a phonetician with the super not racist mission of creating a, quote, proper, universal way of speaking English. He developed a sort of hybrid of English and American speech that he called World English because, of course, England and the US are the only two countries in the world. To fully explain all the nuances of how the accent worked would take about 20 videos and involve way too many unreadable phonetic charts, but to ensure that you can walk away from this video with something to condescendingly explain on your next date, I'll walk you through two easy to recognize elements. First off, the transatlantic accent is non-rhotic, meaning that R's are not pronounced when they're before consonants or at the end of words. Listen to how Irene Dunne doesn't pronounce the R in
Of course I want you to go.
and how Cary Grant loses the R in
What, do you think I'm gonna let a funny little redhead like you run around loose here?
Now, while I could dedicate a whole video to unpacking the phrase, "You think I'm gonna let a funny little redhead like you run around loose here?" I have to move on to another transatlantic staple, the lack of wine-wine merger. In many US accents, wine and wine sound the same, but in mid-Atlantic, the WH sound is pronounced hua. Listen to this lady say,
Will you tell me why?
There are also softer vowels, no glottal stops, and I could keep going, but seeing as you don't even know what a glottal stop is, it's probably best if we just move on. Starting in the 1920s, World English, now sometimes called a mid-Atlantic accent, came to be adopted by elite boarding schools in the Northeast, including the Groton School, where FDR was educated. That's why FDR says,
The only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
dropping the R at the end of fear. The mid-Atlantic accent soon came to be associated with wealth and status, which led to more people wanting their kids to speak with it to indicate that they were too fancy to pronounce the letter R. That association with status is also why the mid-Atlantic accent is used by fictional characters like Frasier and Niles Crane, Effie Trinket in the Hunger Games movies, Mr. Burns from The Simpsons, a whole smattering of Disney villains, and even Darth Vader. But that still doesn't answer the question, why did nearly everyone in old movies use a transatlantic accent regardless of whether or not their character would have attended an elite northern boarding school? The movie Penny Serenade is about a family not having enough money to adopt a child, and yet both the main characters talk like they were FDR's roommate. Well, it can all be traced to one woman, Edith Warman Skinner, a student of William Tilley who in 1942 wrote a very long, very dense, very boring book codifying the mid-Atlantic accent called Speak with Distinction. Calling it good English and proclaiming it as the proper way to speak English, she taught the accent to theater students at Carnegie Mellon and later Juilliard, and by the 1930s, as Hollywood transitioned from silent films to talkies, Edith Skinner became the go-to speech coach and consultant for film studios. Once all the beautiful giants on the screen were talking with the accent, drama schools across the country began adopting it, teaching it to their students under Skinner's theory that it was not one of many US accents, but that the accent that nobody naturally used was, in fact, the only correct accent in existence. Transatlantic accents began to fall out of favor around World War II as the war made Americans collectively begin to feel more American-y and want to be more differentiated from the British. By the late 1960s, the new Hollywood movement, with directors like Francis Ford Coppola, Elaine May, and Martin Scorsese, started changing the way films were made with far greater emphasis on reflecting the real world and the way real people spoke. And so, because this was basically a fake accent, once it stopped being taught, it essentially disappeared. And having learned from our mistakes, everyone re-examined the idea that there was only one right way to speak, and nobody ever got mad at anyone about pronunciations again. Now look, I may have gotten all excited about that public domain movie, but everyone knows that the real backbone of Half as Interesting is the hard work of the writers. Wait, that's not supposed to say that. The real backbone of Half as Interesting is stock footage, which is why we're thrilled to be sponsored by Storyblocks, a company that literally makes these videos possible by providing a high-quality video, photo, and music library for creators. If you're a video creator or you want to try out video creation, one thing you'll quickly discover is that you need, well, videos. Ideally, videos that look good. And also ideally, videos that don't cost hundreds of dollars each. Storyblocks is a fantastic, efficient, inexpensive solution to that need, providing creators with the tools they need to bring stories to life while staying on time and within budget. They've got over 1 million videos, photo, and music assets, everything ranging from this to this to this to this, and it's all included with their unlimited subscription. I don't think I know a full-time creator that doesn't have a Storyblocks subscription, so if you want to make videos easier, faster, and better, you can sign up at storyblocks.com/HAI, and when you do, you'll also be helping support the channel.